So lovely to travel when you feel confident speaking English. So lovely to ask confidently for what we need without worrying about making mistakes. What's the worst thing that can happen if you make a mistake? The important thing is to be able to communicate. If you get paralyzed with the fear of making a mistake, you won't be able to communicate your needs. That's worse than making a mistake.
Hi, have you been learning English for years and you still can't speak it? There are many people who learn grammar, do their listening exercises, their reading, but when it comes to speaking, that's another story. Well, if you want to learn to speak English, you need to practice speaking. Speaking is the only way you'll be able to learn to speak.
When a baby wants to learn to speak, does it passively wait for an adult to teach him, or does he start experimenting? Da da da, ma ma ma. When you're passionate about learning something, do you wait for someone to teach you, or do you start trying to learn about it?
What do babies do? Do they wait for their mum to teach them to speak? Or do they just start experimenting, ma 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 ba 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 pa pa pa, and then as they make mistakes, they'll be corrected by their parents, but they start practicing on their own, and only after they've practiced a lot will they then be corrected. Why should listening be the first skill you need to learn a language? Well, first repeat these words after me, and then I'll tell you. Comfortable, comfortable. Vegetable, vegetable. Idea, idea. Walk, walk. Talk, talk. Smile, smile. Us, us. Facebook, Facebook. Climb, climb. Here's the answer to the question. Most of my students, especially the ones who can't read or write yet, pronounce the words, repeating after me, absolutely perfectly. It's only when they learn to read the words that they pronounce them wrong. For example, vegetable becomes vegetable. Comfortable becomes comfortable. Walk becomes walk. Climb becomes climb. Or us becomes us, and Facebook becomes Facebook. Therefore, it's of utmost importance that you learn to listen to the language and repeat what you hear and not what's written, as every language has different pronunciation rules.
My mind goes blank when they ask me a question. I feel tongue-tied and embarrassed. Unless you actively practice your speaking skills with your mouth, you will never be able to speak English easily. You'll never travel communicating stress-free. You'll never be able to speak to foreign colleagues without feeling embarrassed. You'll never face international conferences with confidence.
A few days ago, I asked you whether it was better to study more to improve your speaking, or whether it was better to actually practice more speaking. And the answer came that it's better to study more. Now, Studying more actually teaches you vocabulary, grammar structures. You consolidate your background knowledge, your basic knowledge of English, but it will not help you speak. The only way to practice your speaking is to physically speak. So speaking in any situation, you can speak to yourself, you can speak to your dog, you can speak to someone on the street, but you do need to practice your speaking. It's your speaking muscles that need to practice, and therefore you can easily practice just by listening and repeating.
Listen and repeat. Food and restaurant. Coffee. Ground coffee. Freshly ground coffee. Of freshly ground coffee. Smell of freshly ground coffee. To the smell of freshly ground coffee. Woke up to the smell of freshly ground coffee. I woke up to the smell of freshly ground coffee.
The good thing about this listen and repeat exercise is that you can practice without anyone judging. It doesn't really matter if you make mistakes. No one will hear, but meanwhile your muscles are practicing, and that's the most important thing. Once you feel confident, then you can go out into the world and speak to real people. Try it out.
Unblock your speaking skills. No more hesitation or embarrassment. Speak in private, no one listening or judging. Feel free to make mistakes and experiment speaking. Practice just 10 minutes a day for 7 days. Feel the language flow easily. Express yourself naturally, not too many mistakes. Imagine yourself sounding so natural and confident speaking English that people reply spontaneously without straining to understand you. Imagine how exciting would it be to study at a university abroad? Time to unblock and finally speak English confidently.
It's quite normal to feel blocked when you have to speak a language you don't feel comfortable speaking in. But the reality is that the only way to be able to speak a language is to practice speaking it. Speak to yourself. It's not a joke. It really works. Practice makes perfect. Hi, did you have a nice summer? Did you travel? Did you speak English? If you want to continue speaking English and become more confident, why don't you join my course starting in October? We'll be speaking about specific topics and practicing the language in small groups. See you there! Even if you speak English well, there are some certifications that require you to speak about specific topics. And so if you're taking the Trinity Speaking exam, the IELTS exam, the Cambridge First exam, the old First certificate, you need to be able to speak about specific topics. And that's why I've created this course, so that you can learn the vocabulary on specific topics and at the same time be able to practice it by speaking with people to get the practice you need to speak at the exam. Are you going to participate in an Erasmus exchange? It's really important not to be able to only speak about everyday things, also to be able to exchange a conversation regarding environmental things and regarding specific interests you have, food, entertainment. So it's really important to practice the language specific to those things and not only general English. If you'd like to practice it, you can join my group, which is starting mid-October, and it'll be very small, between 8 and 14 people, but I'll be meeting you online and dividing you into even smaller groups to be able to discuss these topics and practice the language which is specific to various subjects. You'll gain confidence because you'll be able to practice speaking about these things with other people. And once you feel confident, you'll be able to go on your Erasmus exchange just feeling more comfortable, that you'll be able to speak about more than just where you're from and why you're studying what you're studying. How do you feel when you speak English? Do you want to feel more confident speaking English on specific topics? Because the course I'm starting mid-October will be exactly that. Choosing different topics to speak about, you practice the language in small groups, and you improve. How do you feel when you speak English? Do you feel blocked? Do you feel stuck? If you want to improve your English, and particularly improve your English speaking about various topics, I have the course for you starting mid-October, and we'll be speaking in very small groups so you can practice the language of specific topics. See you there. How does my course work? So you will receive some specific vocabulary and games to practice this language on each topic, after which you'll practice the language in small groups in my course, and I'll be joining you to help you become more fluent. Many people speak English fluently, but not everyone knows the specific language for specific topics. I had this experience myself. When I was at university, at German university, after 4 years of studying mass communications, I went to a friend's house and didn't even know the word for a broom. So I had been living in there for so many years and didn't know how to ask for a broom to sweep up the crumbs on her floor. So this is the reason why it's important not only to be able to speak a language fluently, but to be able to address specific topics. And this is the reason why I've decided to propose a course to give you confidence in speaking about different topics. Have you ever spoken to a friend and suddenly realized you lack the specific language for that topic? It's happened to me. For example, I grew up eating very plain fish in England, and then when I traveled on holiday to Italy and other countries, I picked up the specific vocabulary for fish in those languages. And therefore I realized that it's not easy to be fluent in every type of topic, even if you speak
a language fluently. And this is why I've created this course, to make you feel more comfortable being able to practice English speaking with other students on specific topics. And I'd like to give you the vocabulary in advance so that you can become familiar with it and then use it in conversation with other students when we meet up. I look forward to seeing you there.
However, I do understand that plucking up the courage to speak is not all that easy, and that's why I say practice speaking by yourself to yourself before you go out in the big wide world and try practicing with someone else. I have a confession to make. I've been studying just a little bit of Hungarian, and I spent about 3 weeks in Hungary very recently. I only plucked up the courage to say a sentence or two the last days, and the result was not very positive because I'd found a person who didn't know English, so he probably wasn't used to any particularly strange accent, and obviously whatever I said was not comprehensible enough, so he didn't really react to what I said. By practicing by yourself, and subsequently you'll have the courage to face someone. So I do put myself in your shoes, and I do understand.
Hi, I'm so excited because finally you'll be able to meet me personally in my course, the one in which you'll gain a lot of confidence speaking, because we'll be meeting once a week for 10 weeks and you'll be able to speak for an hour and a half every week, so you'll definitely gain confidence and fluency. So as to maximize your speaking time, I'll be giving you materials in advance to practice with, so that by the time we meet up, you'll be able to speak on a specific topic using specific language, using specific vocabulary, expressions and phrasal verbs. And this will give you the opportunity to speak all the time for the whole hour and a half with one or two partners, because the group is very small, and I'll be there to guide you along. It's a very small course and there are only very few spots available, so if you're interested, please register, and if you have difficulty registering, contact me and I'll help you do so. This is finally your opportunity to feel unblocked, to feel confident, because you'll be having maximum speaking time in a very small group, and I'll be helping you to make sure that you speak correctly and not feel blocked.